Hi, Year 5. This is your lesson for Monday the 1st of February. I look a bit grainy, I know, but that's the quality of my video. I'm ever so sorry. So we're going to have a little look at our comprehension for the week. You have just heard the chapter read aloud, and now I'm going to explain to you the questions. So let's have a look. Before you go on to your questions, have a think. Is this what you wanted to happen in the last chapter? Did you really get what you wanted from the last chapter, the end of the book? And I'd like you to have a little think about Mr. Orwell, the character, and the housekeeper. How different are they? How are they different? They're very different people. So just in your head, have a little think about that. How are Mr. Orwell and the housekeeper different? This is a question for you all, and I want you to be honest about it. Do you think that people spend too much time on their phones? I wonder if technology, maybe we rely on our phones too much. I don't know. You might not think so. You might think, oh, phones are great. And they are. But you wonder, do we spend too much time on our phones and on technology? What do you think will happen next in this story? I know there isn't another next to this story, but what do you think would happen next in this story? And I want you to have a little think. Do you think they will behave better in the future? Do you think the Archers will change their behaviour because of what's happened to them? Would Zane behave differently in the future? Would the mother and father behave differently in the future? What would they do? Would they make things better for their family? And do you think Zane will do his homework? Last of all, just think, you're not writing these, you're just thinking about what you've read or heard. Do you think that use spy software is a good thing or a bad thing? Now, if you think it's a good thing, why? And if you think it's a bad thing, why? So have a little think about that. If you want to pause the video and just think about those questions for a minute, you can do. If not, carry on. Okay, now I've saved these questions for your comprehension in the as a picture alongside in this way, so you can when I finish talking now, you can look at that picture and enlarge it and make it a bit easier for you to have a look at the questions in one go. You could pause this, but sometimes I think some of you are finding it a bit fuzzy when you pause. So answer the following questions about the chapter in your writing book and explain your answers. So how would you feel if you were the Archer's housekeeper? So you've got to think about this as a whole, haven't you? The whole chapter. And this is quite an evaluative sort of question. You've really got to think about the housekeeper as a character and how she's treated in general throughout the whole of the book and how you think she's been treated in the past. So how would you feel and why? Try to think about why as well. Do you think it matters if Dad can't remember the housekeeper's name? Why? So this again is an evaluative thing. You've got to know that he didn't remember her name. This isn't something you can look for. You've got to think about the whole chapter and think about the way they treat people. I'm trying not to give you any clues here, but I want you to think about it yourself. Number 3, Mr. Gamble doesn't like Mr. Orwell. We know that, but why? Again, you've got to think about the whole book and the whole chapter. Why do you think he doesn't like Mr. Orwell? What does Mr. Orwell do that Mr. Gamble doesn't like? How does he behave? What is it that he does or is that Mr. Gamble doesn't like? So Mr. Gamble's the teacher, remember, and Mr. Orwell is the head teacher. So think, why doesn't Mr. Gamble like Mr. Orwell or the behaviours that Mr. Orwell displays? Again, that's a real thinky thing. It's not, you can't find the answers in the chapter. You've got to think about it as a whole. Now this one, you've got to look in the chapter. Find and copy 2 words or phrases that tell you that Mr. Orwell is cross. Well, again, now you've got to look, skim and scan for the words Mr. Orwell and skim and scan and then see what he's thinking and feeling. Remember, it might be hidden in how he speaks, what he's saying. So be careful there. Number 5 is Dad looked at his shoes and muttered an apology. How is Dad feeling here? So this is a show not tell. This is an inference thing, which is going to come helpful come in handy for later on in the week. How is he feeling? You've got to think about, well, what does somebody feel when they mutter an apology and they're looking down at their shoes? Think about that body language. What are they feeling? Are they angry? That's not really body language for anger, is it? Are they sad? You've got to think about that. See if you can find it, look around it and see what you think Dad is feeling by looking around that and think about that body language. Number 6, how do you think the archers will have changed because of you, Spy? So will they have changed, and how do you think they will have changed? What might they do now? What will they do differently? What will they change? Their behaviours, the way they are with each other, what they do with each other? Think about that one. So that's, again, it's a whole book sort of question. And this is a question for you, which is, again, a bit thinking about our lives as well as the book itself. Do you think we are over-reliant on technology? I mean, if our machines did suddenly rebel, would we be in trouble? Perhaps do we rely on it too much and not rely on each other too much? I don't know. You might think, no, we don't use technology enough. We could do more with technology. And you're right, we could. But do we rely on it too much? Do we think, oh, that job will be done by this machine here, or I can do that with that machine there? Is there other ways we can do things instead of using machines and technology? Have a think. And if you think, yeah, actually, we do rely too much on technology, explain why. And if you think, no, explain why. So those are good questions for you to be going on with. Again, I'll tell you that I expect you to look at the picture on the side in this way, because you might not be able to see those questions if you pause the video. When you've had a go at that, so you can pause the video there and do those questions if you like, but then we've got an extra challenge. So if you want to pause now, pause now. And this is your extra challenge for when you've done your work. So you can write a book review if you want to. There's 2 challenges here. You can write a book review. So to help you, you might want to include these ideas. A book review can sometimes have a retelling of the story in a very short form. You can, in your book review, discuss feelings towards the different characters. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Why? Write about the settings. Each week the setting has narrowed from school and the outside world. It's come down into the Archer's house, and it's finally just the Archer's kitchen. So what atmosphere does the setting give to the story? You might want to talk about that. You might want to think about the theme of privacy in this story, about who has the right to watch our actions. How do you feel about your privacy and how you might be able to protect it? So there's some ideas you can pop in a book review. Or the other challenge you could do is this. You could design the cover of this book. Think about the book. Oops, I've missed the K off think. I'm ever so sorry. That's my fault. Sometimes I type far too fast. Think about the book and how it develops. Think of the genre. Is this a mystery genre? Is it a thriller? Is it a love story? Is it a comedy? What is it? What sort of book is it? And then your book cover can reflect that. So if it was a love story, you might have some love hearts on the front and colours, bright colours. If it's a horror story, you might have some dark and spooky colours. What would your main image be, and what would you write in the blurb? Your image really just sum up the story idea. So if it was a love story, it might be a love heart or some flowers, something like that. If it's a mystery, it could be something that's at the heart of the mystery. And think about the blurb. What would you write on the back cover? A little synopsis of what's going on in the book, maybe a recommendation, maybe you could pretend it's won a medal and write that. So have a look at some books you've got, get some ideas about what blurb and book covers have, and then write one for you, Spy, because you've read the whole book now. We'd love you to send us some of your work, because we don't see you, and we want you to know that we really value your work, and we want to see it and have a look at it, and then we can perhaps give you some feedback and say, wow, that was amazing, or oh, perhaps you could try this next time. So send us some if you like, and that's your work for Monday today. So rewind, pause, have a look at the questions, and then of course you can rewind to look at this challenge again. Well done and good luck with that.